What will happen now? Loud music rushes over me in a wave. The familiar sea of dancers, lights, and sparkling glasses. Whew, this place is quite a scene, isn't it? Leslie murmurs at my side as we walk along, glancing around the speak. It's a little less crowded today. They must have known you were coming. Oh, low below. As we weave our way to the bar, my attention's drawn to a group of familiar figures. Those sketchy guys from the other night. But it looks like there's more of them today. I nudge Leslie's side and jerk my chin in their direction. He follows my subtle gesture, eyes narrowing faintly. We exchange no words, but I can tell we're thinking the same thing. Those are Meyer's men. At the bar, Leslie orders us a couple drinks, just to keep up appearances. We've got to find some way to ask about Earl, but we can't risk being too obvious about it. I'm like suddenly realizing, is it pronounced Mayor? Mayor? Meyer? Meyer? Whatever. Question mark? Jack. You finally decided to show up, hmm? When a certain voice calls out over the music, I freeze. If that's who I think it is, then... I was terribly disappointed last night, Jack. The expensive bottle of honey Slavovitz I got for you was my sole conversation partner. What did I pick this time? Oh, the sweet drink, I think? Yeah. Sure enough, Meyer saunters up with his usual sly grin, leaning one arm against the bar. Oh. I see you brought a friend. Meyer turns his attention to Leslie, studying him for a few moments before offering a polite nod. There's tension. Leslie does the same, sizing the other man up silently. But quickly breaks into a smile of his own. You must be Meyer. Jack was just singing your praises, and, you know, I can really see why. Singing my praises, was he? My gaze meets Meyer's, and he suggestively winks. Great, Leslie. Thanks for encouraging him. And whom might I have the pleasure of meeting tonight? Leslie's the name. How do you do? Wait, he's giving Meyer's a real name? Is he planning something? They reach around me to shake hands, each still wearing a confident smirk. I don't know why, I just find it funny. The two of them fighting over our oblivious little main character. Well, actually, it's kind of interesting. So Richter is obviously okay towards Meyer, but Seimei towards Leslie. How do you do? Would I be correct in assuming you're a public servant like Jack here, Mr. Leslie? You would be very correct. We met through work, actually. I see, I see. Very interesting. There's something uncomfortable about this atmosphere. What exactly is going on? And you, Meyer? What do you do for work? Curious you should mention that. I consider myself a public servant as well. Oh my, what a coincidence. I had a feeling, really. The second I saw you, I thought to myself, here's a charitable man, all right. I knew it. You may not believe this, but I had the same reaction. That noble air you have, why, it speaks volumes about me. Cannot speak to it. That noble air you have, why, it speaks volumes about you. You strike me as a dutiful sort of fellow, and I respect that. Richter's just like, what the fuck? No, something is definitely very wrong. There's no way either of them is being serious. In fact, it almost sounds like... Actually, Meyer, I have a question for you. Pausing for a moment, Leslie glances up at the clock. It's only a quick look, but it seems deliberate. Of course, please go on. You didn't happen to see a man around here the other night? Dark shaggy hair, pointy nose, brown eyes, walks with a slight limp. Meyer brushes a hand through his hair, eyes slightly drifting to one side. It's very possible. That description sounds quite familiar. But you know, Mr. Leslie, information often comes with a price. Ooh, the music just dropped out. At that instant. Ah! It's the cops! So this basically plays out the same. The speakeasy door flies open, and a small group of officers rush in. Screams echo through the parlor after music cuts off, but the cacophony quickly goes silent. As the officers pull out their guns, the mafia types grab their own pieces, pointing them back at the officers. We already read this, right? Yeah, firearm. Leslie, what? Richter, please. Leslie sharply raises a hand at me, and I fall quiet, stunned. Oh, does this play out the same? This wasn't the plan we discussed. I thought we were supposed to wait for more information. Unless Leslie did this because I thought I'd be too soft on Meyer. I suggest you cooperate with us, Eastman, and give us the agent's location. Meyer doesn't seem nearly as shocked as he should be. Oh my god, my mouth keeps getting dry. How can he be so calm? He had no idea this was going to happen, did he? All right, I'll cooperate with you. But please, tell your men to lower their weapons. I'll do the same for mine, and then we can discuss things calmly, without threat of accidental bloodshed. Agreed? Leslie hesitates. There's a very strange degree of trust going on here, but I get the sense that neither of them wants it to end in violence. I know Leslie hates hurting anyone, even criminals, and Meyer doesn't seem the type to enjoy it either. Understood. Both of them exchange looks and simultaneously nod at their men, who slowly, reluctantly, lower their guns. The tension in the room eases a little bit, though it's still far from calm. Let me preface by saying your man is safe. He's being held in the back room, properly fed and watered. In fact, he's already gotten to know most of the men, a very likable fellow. That does sound like Earl. The guy can get along with just about anyone. Why did you capture him, then? To use him as bait, naturally. Bait? Meyer nods, giving me a slightly apologetic smile, although he looks too pleased with himself about it all. You see, after our friend Jack here showed up the other night, I was struck with an idea. I knew he was a detective before he so much as walked in the door. Your informant's working for me. So I decided to have a chat with him. You mean, back there, that was... Don't get me wrong, Richter, I was enjoying every second of it. There was no kiss here, though, right? This was the first night when they were chatting? Yeah, I think so. But I've been looking for a way to work out an arrangement with the law in Cleveland for some time. You're a hard-headed sort here, let me tell you. He exhales a breath between his teeth, gently shaking his head. Richter, however, I could tell he was made of something different. Not so hell-bent on enforcing the Volstead Act. Not yet just the type to be bought either. I was intrigued. So I thought I'd try to work out a deal, until he cruelly decided to leave me hanging, that is. So it was pretty close to what it was. Giving him my name was what you might call a backup plan. I knew he'd put it together soon enough and come back when he did. Capturing your agent, now, that was a little more spontaneous. A little foolish, too, more than likely, but it's how I operate. His lips curl in a devil-may-care smirk, and he shrugs nonchalantly. Devil may cry? You really had this all planned from the beginning? Wasn't it a huge risk? Of course, but a calculated one. Meyer casually waves one hand, as if brushing away my disbelief. Nothing ventured, nothing gained. I like to make big gambles, and most of the time, they pay off. But I haven't done my research on your backgrounds, your past jobs. Oh, wait. But I've done my research on your backgrounds, your past jobs. I knew you wouldn't simply raid my venue without showing a little of your hand first. So you could say the chips landed where I thought they might. It's suddenly all too clear how this man became a mafia leader. He's got the right mixture of planning, risk-taking, and charm, all wrapped up in one dangerous package. Phew. I feel like a man who just got cheated out of his fortune of cards. Leslie rubs his cheek with a hand, blinking rapidly, as if to try and understand everything we just heard. I can't blame him. I knew Meyer was sharp, but I had no idea he'd planned everything out ahead of time. I'll admit, despite the fact that your methods are incredibly questionable, you've made me curious. You mentioned a deal, didn't you? What kind of deal are we talking about here? Leslie. To my surprise, Leslie cautiously questions Meyer, one eyebrow slightly raised. I was expecting him to be furious, but instead, he sounds more impressed than anything. I was hoping you'd ask that. Why don't we discuss matters privately, on a neutral ground? I'll even let you pick the spot. All of us disarmed, with a few of our men waiting outside. A moment, if you don't mind. Leslie grabs my sleeve and pulls me aside a little, leaning up to whisper in my ear. You really trust him enough for this? Normally I'd say it's suicide, but this Meyer, he's not like any other man I've ever met. It's like talking to the chief of a big corporation, not a mafia leader. He scratches his head, clearly baffled. It's not like I blame him. It's not like I can blame him. I felt the same way when I first met Meyer the other night. I don't think he means us any harm, boss. He's still a gangster, obviously, but I think he really wants to work out a deal. All of this would be way too much trouble otherwise. And honestly, I like to hear what he has to say. My thoughts exactly. You think we should hear him out then? After a brief moment of hesitation, I nod. We're playing with fire here, and we both know it. But that's nothing new for us. If you don't mind me saying, Mr. Leslie, I gather you're the type to take precautions. Meyer pipes up airily, and we both glance over at him. Should the two of you not show up in perfect health tomorrow, I'm certain I'll have a big hassle on my hands. And that's not what I want, I assure you. You really did do your research, didn't you? It's a favorite hobby of mine. So that means you know what size underwear Richter wears? Boss! I'm afraid you'll have to barter for that information. Oh, you drive a hard bargain, do you? I like that. I feel like my only ally just switched his colors. Great. Just great. After a little more discussion, the three of us settle on a hotel room for our meeting spot. The unfortunate patrons who had to witness all that. Well, they're sent home and promised free drinks when they come back. In this day and age, that's probably enough to risk being shot. Once that mess is sorted out, the three of us head to the hotel with our respective men. So this is where it ended last time, I think. And it told me to go back. So what happens now? I can't even begin to imagine how tonight will end, but I have to hope for the best. But are we ending up with... Who are we ending up with? Do we end up with both of them? I'm so confused. I hope this isn't the part where we get shot by a sniper through the window. The restaurant across the street wouldn't let my man inside, unfortunately. Well, What a relief. The three of us stroll into the hotel room, still followed by the tense air from earlier. Meyer and Leslie have been constantly bantering on the way here, but I can't tell if it's genuine snideness or the playful kind. Well, no point in wasting any time, eh? Let's hear your proposal, Eastman. We're listening. Of course. I'm sure both of you are exceptionally busy men. We shift into a fairly close circle, close enough that we don't risk our voices carrying too far. Leslie stands nearer to my side than Meyer, almost protective in his stance. I don't know what he thinks he can do. If worse came to worse, I guess I could pick him up and... What? If worse comes to worse, I guess I could pick him up to use as a battering ram. Some of the writing in this game is actually pretty damn good. Gets a chuckle out of me. I assume you're already aware of my influence in our city, and the control I have over a large amount of business. But I'm not without competition. There are a number of smaller, persistent groups that, while less organized, are still significant. And as a result of my extensive network, I'm very familiar with the movements of these various outfits and their leaders across Cleveland. In English, that means you know what the other gangs are up to, right? Precisely, Richter. He winks at me almost imperceptibly, like I've finally been let in on some inside joke. I propose that I offer a steady stream of that information to you, more than enough to fill reports for the FBI. More than enough to fill reports for the FBI, surely, at least for the time being. You'll discover a new warehouse to raid every other week, one that coincidentally belongs to a different organization than my own. Funny thing how coincidences like that happen. Leslie quips dryly, glancing between Meyer and me. His gaze stays locked with mine for several seconds, one eyebrow raised in a "what do you make of this so far" kind of way. So, what would you be wanting in exchange? A level of discretion on your part that will allow me to carry on with my business. Meyer remembers his terms rather naturally, blowing on his nails and polishing them nonchalantly on his collar. I'll see to it that my men keep their noses clean. After all, I'm interested in providing alcohol to customers, not filling the streets with the bodies of my enemies. Very poetic. There's certainly more where that came from. He doesn't even make eye contact, innocently gazing in another direction, but his tone is teasing enough to get the message across. Leslie getting jealous, getting protective. Leslie narrows his eyes a little at Meyer. Is he trying to read him, or has he already made up his mind? Believe me, I don't doubt that a part of this conflicts with your sense of justice as detectives. After speaking with Richter, I wouldn't expect anything less. But you're both logical, practical men. Try to view the situation through a more objective lens. There's a short pause, but an important one. My mind flashes back to my conversation with Leslie, our doubts and guilt over what we're doing. If you took me to jail right now, and by some miracle managed to convict me, someone else will only step up to take my place. This war on liquor will never really end. It should never have existed to begin with. All it succeeded in doing was creating a different sort of industry, a more dangerous one. With all that in mind, stark green eyes flick from me to Leslie and back to me. Why not compromise and make your employers happy in exchange for making the American people happy? Once he finishes speaking, a longer silence falls over the room. Leslie rubs at his shoulder with one hand, staring at the floor with a deep, brooding expression, and I fall into my own complicated thoughts. I've always wanted to control crime, uphold the law, and fall asleep with a clean conscience every night. But when it comes to prohibition, the same question keeps resurfacing in my head. Is enforcing this law really the right thing to do? Should we follow federal orders like mindless slaves? Or should we make our own judgments in cases like this? I steal a glance up at Meyer. He returns my gaze with a gentle, calm smile, eyes glimmering curiously. Richter? Leslie turns to face me, his features carefully composed in an unusually neutral mask. Any thoughts? Deciding to let my apparently crippling honesty speak for me, I take a deep breath. I don't think prohibition is meant to last. I take pride in my job, but I get nothing out of enforcing Volstead's middle finger to America. Snatching away hooch just to suit the Fed's fancy, that doesn't sit right with me. And as for Meyer, I think he's right, boss. With him or without him, the liquor business here will keep going, and I'd rather someone like Meyer run it than some crew out for blood as much as profit. Leslie chews on his lip. He's wavering on the brink of deciding something, but I can't tell which way he's leaning. Whatever decision you make, boss, I'll stand behind it. You can count on that. I know, Richter. That's why you're my partner. After a lengthy pause, Leslie finally breaks into a faint smile, turning his gaze from me to Meyer. Listen, I can't promise the deal will hold forever, Meyer. There's always a risk that someone will find out, or we'll get moved onto a different case. I am well aware. So few good things last forever. But that's more of a reason to enjoy them while they last, isn't it? Heh, I'll drink to that, all right. He suddenly takes a deep, sharp breath, eyes flashing. Damn, it sure feels good to spit in Volstead's eye, that son of a bitch. Oh my goodness. Leslie's never sworn before. Look at his face. And grabs Meyer's hand firmly, shaking it with pure determination. Oh, I love how the music just kicks back in. Whoever did the sound design for his game is actually really good. In fact, he seems so conflicted that I have to wonder how hard the decision really was for him. He wasn't just pausing for dramatic effect back then, was he? You know, my sister got married last week, and the reception was completely dry. Not a drop of booze in sight. Have you ever had to sit through 15... holy shit. Sit through 15 wedding speeches completely sober? I've never prayed so hard for rapture in my life. See, again, this game actually has pretty good, writing. I genuinely laugh at some of this stuff. Ha 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 ha. As his hand is pumped up and down by an enthusiastic Leslie, Meyer breaks into delighted laughter. Maybe the first time I've ever heard him be so loud. Whether it's from amusement or relief, though, I can't really tell. Well, this is a cause for celebration, gentlemen. Wouldn't you agree? Meyer steps over to the door, lightly knocking 4 times. A few seconds later, it opens slightly, and someone discreetly hands him a bottle and several wine glasses. Oh boy, all 3 of them are gonna get drunk. They're in a hotel room. Oh jeez. Is that... You had them bring it here? Wasn't that a bit presumptuous? I only make bets I'm confident in. I have a feeling we're going to get along just fine. They exchange playful glances. And then their eyes slide over to me. Oh jeez. Why do I suddenly feel like a rabbit spotted by a pair of lions? Hey, what are you... Before I know it, the other 2 have taken my arms, pulling me over to the foot of the bed. Like they're operating on some new unspoken act, they sandwich me between them before I can even finish my protest. Shall we toast to the success of our new partnership? Don't mind if I do. You're a true gentleman after all, Meyer. Leslie holds out his glass, and Mark casually reaches over me to pour. Jeez, Leslie's like too pale. Also, why is the art so different in these shots? Whatever. And of course, we shouldn't forget the wonderful little detective who brought us together, should we? Well, it's really nothing. I humbly nominate him as our ambassador. The key component to making sure our arrangement runs smoothly. That's actually not a bad idea. He can't tell a lie to save his life, so it's better for him than the undercover work, that's for sure. What the heck? I didn't agree to this, did I? Hello? Agree. Richter, please. You're merely continuing the role you already have. You heard the man, Richter. Ambassador is a great sounding title, too. I'm jealous. Very funny. You fellas, you're real right. I'm like waiting for something to happen. Oh, jeez. As I grumble to myself, watching the deep, ruby liquid flow into Leslie's glass, my mind begins to picture how many other deals like this will take place while Prohibition goes on. It's already changed our country forever, changed us as Americans forever, though I doubt we'll understand the full scale of it for many, many years. When I think about all the detectives and officers who will one day reach the same conclusion as us, I have to wonder. Just how much longer will this dry America last? I'm pretty sure this game is not, this game is safe for stream, so nothing's really gonna happen. Unfortunately. I think it's perfectly fair to keep him 4 days a week with me. What, they're negotiating? 4 days? You greedy bastard, trying to monopolize on me. I tune back into a good-natured argument, one that seems to be about... What if we shared him for it one day? Surely a reasonable man like yourself would agree to that, Leslie. Sharing him for a day, huh? I think that can be arranged. What the hell kind of conversation are you... Never mind. Wait, is that the end? Oh, I guess that's the end. Oh, it really is the end. Is this the credits? Who's the team that worked on this? Because this is actually a pretty damn good quality game. I'm surprised it's free. Well, it's really short, so I guess that's why it's free. It's actually really freaking good. I mean, at least I liked it. It's short, but it's definitely good quality. Like, I would have expected that it would have cost at least a little bit, like $5 or something. I love the music. The writing itself is actually really good. I laughed a couple of times. Yeah. Thank you for playing. No, man is an island. Entire of itself. Every man is a piece of the continent, part of the main. Oh, I guess that's the end. Dry delight indeed. Making me thirsty as fuck.